I had moments where I felt completely in the masculine, and so going to the mirror and seeing a full female version was like shocking.
So I grew up in a really conservative Muslim household. I was about, I think, 5 when I became aware of how confined my gender role was as a woman. It was really restraining because I constantly heard the phrase, Muslim girls don't do this, or Muslim girls don't do that. And some of that was Muslim girls don't play soccer, or Muslim girls don't go hang out at their friend's house and spend the night. Really mundane things. So a lot of my life has been like cultural, religious things that are just kind of justifying, confining somebody from expressing themselves or being their true self. And it kind of made me not embrace my cultural identity as an Egyptian or my religious identity as a Muslim. And it really sucked because those are awesome identities, right? But when you're in constant opposition of who you think you should be and who you really want to be, it's really difficult to express that dissonance, especially as a child. So it wasn't until years later, I noticed all around me that I was watching my friends pair up slowly. Like they were all getting into relationships or getting married. And I really just had no interest in any of that. And I was like, what's going on? Shouldn't my biological clock be ticking? Shouldn't I care about this? A lot of that was me realizing that I wasn't caring about it because I didn't know how to express myself sexually without feeling confined or repressed or angry at myself, or there is a should be and a shouldn't be. So in the face of being diagnosed with cancer at 26 and kind of realizing like, wow, a lot of my life right now is kind of a charade. And in that moment in my life, I had a few people who were really inviting and very supportive and kept bringing me into queer spaces. And so it was through that community that I really found like an acceptance of not only my sexuality and ability to express it, it was also a breath of fresh air where you could truly express all the things that other people have told you are super heinous without worrying about it. That acceptance in itself was something that was very eye-opening. And it kind of made me feel like, okay, if other people are doing it, maybe I can do it too. And ever since, I've kind of felt a lot more comfortable in relationships, whether they be romantic or not, just by feeling like I can truly own my identity as being bisexual or be open with the fact that I am attracted to not just one type of person or one particular idea of what a person should be. And it's been pretty awesome.
I am from Italy. I was born and raised there. I loved Italy, but there was a rigidity to society and to the common mindset that felt very, very heavy on my soul, very restrictive, because I could always feel there was something different about me and I didn't quite know what it was. And I knew that I liked both guys and girls. And the only terms that I knew were gay and lesbian, and I was sure I was not. But I didn't have any guidance, and I didn't have friends that I could talk to or people that I could relate to. I just felt lost and with a lot of questions of like, why am I this way? And I kept looking at people as just gifts, as beautiful gifts to unwrap and unfold. And I wasn't very interested in the gender. I was mostly interested in the content, in the complexity and the mystery of a person rather than their envelope and their outside appearance. And so when I was 21, I finally resolved to type in Google, what's wrong with me? I like both guys and girls. And the word bisexual came out. And I was like, thanks, Google. And it was a moment of revelation, but it was also very, very hard to take in because it was a whole new universe that I had to face and I had to become aware of. It was a few years later, after 6 months of therapy, that I actually encountered the second word, which was non-binary, and that was so hard. It took a while for me to settle in that idea because I knew it was true, but it was difficult to accept. And the way I perceive it is that I am both. I am a man and I am a woman. I feel a masculine energy and a feminine energy in myself. I feel them very distinct and very present at all times. And the struggle or the challenge has been finding a dialogue between those two energies instead of conflict, constant conflict. And I am bisexual and I am non-binary, and I'm happy to be. Yeah, for me, I think the hardest part about sharing my story is the shame, like feeling ashamed or embarrassed or shy about being myself, which is a very intense feeling. It's like wishing to not exist is a horrible feeling.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I can so relate to that. Yeah.
I know it takes courage and it takes vulnerability, which is not easy. And I think the thing that stuck with me from your story was the intensity of having to grow up within rules that don't allow you to be yourself.
Yeah.
And there is nothing you can do about it, because sometimes, like, you would like to be honest, you would like to share yourself, but the system, it's not ready yet. It's not, yeah.
Thank you so much for acknowledging that. That's like so nice. I'm sorry, I'm a crier. Like my dad, he like struggles to even say the word homosexual.
Oh yeah.
It's so ridiculous. And like most of my family still lives in Cairo. And so one time my cousin was like, "Are gay people nice?" And I was like, because she had like,
no, we bite. I was like, so mean.
She had like no frame of reference. And I was like, if only you knew how huge the queer community was in Cairo, but they're so underground because of the threat that is posed by the government and by authorities. I was like, actually, yeah, they're pretty great.
I honestly believe it's all human beings. And the things that I struggle with, I'm pretty sure in different ways, but a straight person struggle with, a bisexual person struggle with. I don't think it's relevant, the fact that, you know, we identify as whatever we identify as.
When listening to your story, something that I wondered about was how intense was the journey to realizing that you didn't necessarily identify with a cutout gender?
It was very, very challenging because the way it revealed itself was with extreme conflict with my body. So I was born with a very feminine body, but I had moments where I felt completely in the masculine. And so going to the mirror and seeing a full female version was like shocking. It was a very, very weird to like speak about this and like to speak of the level of intensity I would feel this, because people would just say, "Oh, you're pretty," or whatever. And I'm like, I am feeling so horrible right now, and I feel detached, or I feel at war with myself. And one term that I also found that in therapy that helped me understand myself is body dysphoria, when you have a sense of not, you know, being in the right skin. That took a long time, because the difficult thing is finding the right balance. It's like finding the right measure of both parts. How did you get the courage to say you are the way you are?
Honestly, I haven't shared anything with my family. I'm like so still very afraid to do that. This is the first time I'm having a conversation like this, so like everything you're saying really means so much. I really appreciate your honesty and like your willingness to connect, so thank you.
I had a moment in my life where I felt like there was no love for me. In God, I felt full acceptance. I did not feel acceptance in the relationship with other human beings. And I don't know, my idea of God is that if God is everything, then it's me, it's you. And it's masculine and it's feminine and it's man and it's woman. Like, you can't compartmentalize. So why are we doing that to ourselves?
Yeah, where are you now? How do you feel now?
I feel like it's the first time I'm breathing. A hug, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this with me. I so appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm crying.
No,
I
do you need
am crying of joy. What? No,
you're good?
I'll keep it to you.
When you mentioned like cutting your hair, that's so huge. Like people think that kind of stuff is like really little, but it sounds like it was monumental for you.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was life-changing because it was not an aesthetical act. It was a freedom act.